This video is going to take you through a pretty long journey that I went through to go from no money to making $250,000 by the age of 19. Now, honestly, since the earliest I could remember, I feel like I've always been entrepreneurial mindseted. I say this because I could remember in the summers my parents having garage sales and me going to my room and grabbing like all the toys and stuff that I either didn't like anymore or that I wanted to get rid of. And I would set up my own little table with all the other tables that my mom and dad had out. And I just remember taking those classic like garage sale circle stickers and putting price tags on all my stuff, and I would try to sell my stuff to make some money. And then right next to that table, I would have another table with a lemonade stand that I would run with myself and my two little sisters. And I just remember when I would sell one of my old toys or when we'd sell a cup of lemonade and just having that person give us 50 cents for a lemonade, or someone giving me like $5 for selling a toy, my eyes would just light up and I would just get so excited whenever I would receive money, honestly. And I think what really drove me to kind of have more of like a entrepreneurial mindset was because my parents were like classic middle class Americans. They both worked factory jobs. They weren't like the smartest people with money. They were pretty much paycheck to paycheck my entire childhood, and then they ended up getting divorced, and they were like really paycheck to paycheck and really struggling. And so because of these things, if I wanted something, I would pretty much have to like figure it out on my own and try to come up with enough money to go get it. So the first thing that I started doing to really start making money was dog walking in my neighborhood and doing like landscaping. Now, this was not any like crazy fancy landscaping. It was literally just like mowing people's lawns, picking up weeds, picking up dog shit from people's backyards, picking up sticks in the fall, picking up, raking leaves in the fall, shoveling people's driveways in the winters, in the fall, like blowing leaves off people's roofs and cleaning their gutters, just like doing any odd jobs that I could to make extra money. I did all of this pretty much throughout middle school. Now, fast forward to high school, I used the money that I made from all my odd jobs in late elementary school and through middle school to then buy my first car. I was absolutely obsessed with this car. It was a 2001 Lexus IS300, and it was white, and I remember always washing this car. I would always detail it, and I would detail it really good. It had tan, like Alcantara interior, and I would make sure like my car was always spotless all the time. And then one day, I went to like a family cookout, and somebody asked like, dang, your car is like very clean, and I was just like, oh yeah, it's always like that. I never let it get dirty. And then they're like, oh yeah, how much would you charge to do the same thing to my car? And then boom, that light bulb went off in my head, and I was just like, holy crap, I can charge people to detail their cars. I already have all the equipment because I do it to my car. I have all the supplies. I know how to do it. I don't dislike doing it. I find kind of joy in cleaning my car, so let me try starting a detailing company. And that is exactly what I did throughout high school. I made business cards, I made flyers, I would hand them out to my teachers, my football coaches. I would go around town, I would drop them in people's mailboxes. I started a Facebook page marketing my detailing business. And because I was doing a full, complete detail, I was charging people $350 per car because I was doing a full exterior detail, literally polishing, waxing, ceramic coating their car, also doing like steam extraction on the inside, shampooing the floors, the floor mats, the seats, like really going all out on this. At this time, I was also in a business leadership club in my senior year of high school, and I was meeting so many different entrepreneurs, picking their brains and everything like that, and I pretty much came to the conclusion that my little small town with only 40,000 people in Illinois was not where I wanted to stay. I knew that there was a lot more opportunity outside of Illinois, so I decided that I wanted to move to Los Angeles. And so from every single car that I started detailing, I would just save that money And 1 month after graduating high school, I had all that money saved up. I sold my car and I moved to LA, and it was the single most best decision I ever made in my entire life. I was only out there for about 6 months before COVID happened. Now, COVID for a lot of people was very negative, but for me, it was a very pivotal part of my story, because I was working as a busser and like a server, kind of training to be a server, but I was primarily a busser. And because COVID closed down all the restaurants, I had all the free time in the world to do research. Now, at this point in time, I was getting really interested in starting an online business. So I started so many different online businesses. I started doing Amazon FBA. I also tried doing drop shipping and e-commerce. I also tried doing real estate wholesaling. And none of these really worked for me. Also, keep in mind that during COVID, this is when TikTok also came out, and TikTok was at its prime of its virality. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's a very pivotal part of the story later on. So again, like I mentioned, I lost my job at the restaurant because the restaurant had to close down because of C-19, and so I was forced to have to be a bagger at a grocery store called Vons. If you are in California or Los Angeles, you know what Vons is. If you are in the Midwest, Vons is basically the West Coast version of Jewel Osco. I absolutely hated being a bagger at a grocery store, so I ended up quitting that. I remembered that in high school, I took welding class, and so I wanted to just put that skill to work for me. I knew that welders made way more than people worked at a grocery store, and so I started a welding job during COVID as well. I hated that too, but at least it paid a lot better. And so during my welding job, I would always be listening to audiobooks or listening to podcasts. After work, I would read books. I really started to get into personal finance, credit, and investing. I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Intelligent Investor, The Psychology of Money, a ton of books. And then I felt like a lot of people needed to learn what I was reading in these books, because I never got taught this stuff in school. My parents didn't know this stuff. My friends didn't know this stuff. My friends' parents didn't know this stuff. And so I was just like, dang, like, TikTok is kind of just popping off. I'm going to start posting about personal finance on TikTok. And that's exactly what I started doing. And then this is really where things changed for literally forever. This is when I really started making a lot of money. So I was in a Clubhouse room, and Clubhouse is just like Twitter Spaces. If you don't know what Clubhouse is, Clubhouse came out again during COVID. And I was sitting in a room, and again, one of the businesses that I had tried to dip my toes into was real estate wholesaling. Now, at this time, I knew that I really wanted to somehow get involved in real estate, and so I was in these real estate Clubhouse rooms, and I was just listening to all of these investors talk and speak about this or that. And one day, I had the opportunity to speak, and I used this time to ask all the investors that were on this call, hey, what did you do as a beginner to make all of your money in which you invested in real estate? And all of them were saying sales, solar sales, financial services, starting an online business, things of this nature. And I was like, okay. So then I literally was doing a ton of research, and I came across starting a financial services agency. Now, the reason why this agency model was so attractive to me is because I just dropped a few $1,000s on Amazon FBA, trying to white label my own product, ordering products from China, like paying for logos, all these things. Not to mention, I also tried drop shipping and e-commerce, and I tried and I tested a ton of products. I didn't really have any luck with any of those products. I dropped thousands of dollars on buying those products, testing them, running ads on those products, and I just wasn't really in a financial position to really spend any more money just to try another business. So luckily, with this financial services agency that I was building, All I needed to do was spend a couple $100 to get my license and to get contracted with the broker dealer. Now, for those of you who don't know what the broker dealer is essentially the company that allows you to write business with all the financial institutions. And so as I was training, as I was learning about the financial services that I was going to be providing within my agency, I would then just turn around and start creating educational personal finance content on my TikTok account. Now, I was already doing that, but I was, talking about basic finance. I was not specifically talking about the things that I was going to be offering on my agency, but now I was. And TikTok being TikTok and the virality on TikTok, I had so many videos blowing up, going viral, and then just having so many people actually reaching out to me and wanting my services. Now, the craziest part is that I didn't start posting on TikTok to actually generate leads. I kind of just started doing it because it was just kind of fun and I actually liked it. But I learned very quickly, I was like, whoa, I could leverage this to organically generate leads for my business/agency. And this changed my life forever. There was a ton of trial and error. I didn't have Calendly at this time. I had thousands of DMs. I had so many comments of people I was trying to, message to jump on like a phone call. I was even using Zoom at this time. Then I started implementing stuff like Zoom. I started implementing systems. I started adding Calendly. I started adding like a CRM, all these things. And then I just had it on autopilot and I was just making more money than I'd ever seen in my life ever. I was making like $35,000 a month from age 18 and going into 19. And it was all because of my financial services agency. Now, I love this business model so much because there are no physical products. I don't have to do any product development. I don't have to worry about supply chain issues. I don't have to sell hundreds of thousands of products because of the products that I offer. The average commission on one of those is about $2,500. So if I just make 4 sales a month, which I do way more than 4 sales a month, more like 4 sales a day. But if I do 4 sales a month, that is literally $10,000 a month. And then people who knew me personally were like, yo, what are you doing? Like, you were definitely not making this much money before. Now you are. And I started telling them about my agency and they wanted to join my agency. The agency model is so perfect because you can either act kind of like just a salesman and just kind of sell products or services. I shouldn't say products or services. Your product is a service, really. But at the end of the day, you're still self-employed. You're still trading your time for money. Now, like I said, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I also read The Cash Flow Quadrant. And Robert Kiyosaki talks about, hey, like when you're on the left side of the cash flow quadrant, you are still trading your time for money. You want to get on the right side of the cash flow quadrant because you're no longer trading your time for money. And with the agency model, I was like, oh my God, I can then bring on a bunch of other agents into my agency, and if they want to start their own agency, they can move from agent to broker and they can become their own broker, exactly like real estate. You're either like a real estate agent or you're a real estate broker, and you have a ton of other real estate agents under you and they help you make money. It's the exact same way with financial services, and it's incredible. And to this day, I'm still doing this. So now the only thing I've really added on at this point is I take all the money that I make from my agency and I invest that money into multifamily commercial real estate. So I still write personal business for my own educational content that I post on social media. My agency is also producing money for me passively, and then I take that passive income from my agency and then I go ahead and put that into my real estate investments, and then the real estate investments pay me monthly or quarterly depending on the specific deal, and that's also passive income too. And the real estate acts as a huge tax write-off for all the money that I'm making from my agency and the personal business that I write in financial services. Now, at this point, I am 22, so I have made a lot more than $250,000. But as a 19-year-old to make $250,000, at that time, while it was all happening, I knew how much work I was putting in, so it didn't really feel like that crazy to me. But now, kind of looking back and talking to a lot of younger guys, and just younger people, and them being 19, and them having aspirations to make that much money, I can kind of see now that, you know, that is a lot of money. A lot of people don't make six figures till multiple years after coming out of college, and at 19 you're just kind of starting college. And at this point, I am still trying to grow my agency. I'm still trying to build this agency to be one of the largest financial services agencies in the United States. So this is the point in the video where, if you are somebody who wants to make money online, if you are somebody who wants to actually execute on your dreams, if you're someone who has high ambitions, if you're someone who wants to make money, you want to be your own boss, you want to work for yourself, you want to have your own business, you want to eventually make passive income, and you want to invest in other things, and if you want time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom, all you have to do is start an agency. And if you want, I can take you under my wing. You can join my financial services agency. I can show you the ropes, teach you everything you need to know, and then you can just start scaling your own agency. If this is something that you want to do, or something you want to explore, or something you want to look into, it's going to be the top link in the description of this video. I hope that this video gave you some good insights, and I hope that this video was able to inspire you in some way, or just show you that it is possible for you, and to not listen to the naysayers. There have been tons of people throughout my life who have told me that, you know, I'm a dreamer, and, you know, I would say, yeah, I am a dreamer, and there's nothing wrong with being a dreamer, because at least I am going to try my best to live the life that I want to live, and not settle for, you know, the societal norm. And if you're somebody who wants to do the same, if you're also a dreamer, if you have big dreams and big goals, this is the business model that will help you execute on those dreams and goals and turn them into reality.